So, a few days ago, I posted this video that came from like a 2 a.m. idea, and it got a lot more attention than expected. So I got a lot of questions from people asking for my GitHub as well as like kind of how I built this. So today I'm going to make a quick walkthrough videos on how I made this Naruto shadow clone program. Let's get started. Alright, I need to read you guys like a little quick disclaimer before we jump in. So I am in no way an expert in computer vision or machine learning. This was actually my first time using MediaPipe and TensorFlow. I did do some machine learning projects in college, and like once at work where I trained some models, but it was in no way similar to this. So this was me trying to figure out a lot of things as I go, so bear with me, and if you have any suggestions then feel free to let me know. So I set up the webcam feed, and the first thing I tried to do was to detect my hands. So I wanted to add those like little skeletons to my hands so I can detect like where my fingers are. I actually never did this before, but I saw a lot of videos online about it and I thought it looked really cool. So I wanted to do it too. So now that we set up our hand skeleton, the next thing I did was figure out how to clone myself. I actually tried a couple of options for this, and I ended up using MediaPipe selfie segmentation for the clone. From my understanding, that's like the most recent technology. That's what Teams Call and Zoom Call use, but I could be wrong. Anyway, this is what I got. The cool thing was that I can set where I want my clone to be, my clone size, as well as the delay time of when I want my clone to appear. So in the Naruto clone jutsu, the clones, they all kind of gradually appear and they don't all appear at once. So I was trying to recreate that effect. Next, I worked on the hand side. My initial idea of doing this was that I have my finger position data from detecting my hands with MediaPipe, right? So what if I just hard code my finger position so that my right, like 2 fingers, would be up vertical at 90 degrees, and then my left 2 fingers would be horizontal at 180 degrees. And this would trigger the clone function, and then I can add like a little rotation variations so that something like this would still trigger the function. So I actually ended up doing that for my first prototype, and honestly it worked pretty okay. Except for just one big problem, that I was hard coding both hands separately. So if I do something like this, the function would still run. And trying to code it so that it would detect the intersection between both hands was an absolute nightmare. So I thought I might need something a little better than hard coding my finger positions. Okay, so after running into that problem, I thought what I was trying to do was really similar to sign language detection. So I realized that there are already a lot of projects out there around sign language and like gesture detection. So I looked into different approaches to see what would make most sense for what I was trying to do. So instead of training directly on hand images, I used MediaPipe to extract what they call 3D hand landmark coordinates and train a small neural network to recognize my custom hand sign. There are multiple ways to do this. I ended up using TensorFlow and kind of just followed this one tutorial online, as well as asked Claude to help me do it directly in the browser, so I don't need to do it in like Python. And this was kind of what I got. So I ended up building a separate training page where I can record myself doing the correct hand sign as well as the wrong hand sign and some random hand poses. So each frame would capture the normalized landmark data from both of my hands, and that will become my training data set. And then I trained a binary classifier to distinguish between the clone sign and a not clone sign. Okay, so this is how to use my data training page. Honestly, it's pretty simple. You just collect a bunch of like correct hand sign samples, And then I would also collect some of the wrong signs. So like this, for example, I don't want this to count as the correct hand sign, so I make sure to record that. Get enough samples, and then I just train the models. So after some training and testing, I realized that I had to think a lot about edge cases. So for example, like would this one count, or like would this one count, or like some slight like finger placement as well as like some slight rotation. So I had a lot of fun training it and like thinking about like the variations of finger placement. And so after training, I just exported the model files and loaded them into my main script. Guys, I think that's it for this video. My GitHub is in the description if you just want to grab the code and try it out for yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any feedback or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!